Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, Lily O'Brien's was hit hard during the pandemic, but while there are concerns about rising cocoa prices, they're busy building a global chocolate brand. Michelle Vance, the CEO of Lily O'Brien's, joins us now to discuss future expansion plans for the business. Michelle, your association with Lily O'Brien's dates back to 2008 when you joined as a financial accountant. But at that point, did you ever envisage that you would one day become the company's CEO?
Good morning, Karl. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I didn't, Karl, to be honest with you. When I joined Lily O'Brien's in 2008, I joined on a project-based assistance role for 2 days and was convinced to stay on a little bit longer, only to find myself still here almost 16 years later.
And you were appointed to this role on a full-time basis back in March 2020, just as the COVID-19 pandemic began. What impact did the pandemic have on Lily O'Brien's?
It kicked in and lockdown kicked in just at Easter 2020. So Lily O'Brien's was stopped in its tracks. We spent a lot of time talking to customers and talking to our distributors in terms of what the sentiment was in the market, what the likely scenario would be for Christmas 2020 and indeed 2021. It was a journey of teamwork and partnership.
How did the business model change as a result of that?
Immediately with the impact of the pandemic, we lost our food service business, which would have been 25% of our total business. So that led us back into retail and online business, and we focused our attentions on those areas until such time as the food service market opened back up again.
Have revenues recovered at this stage?
They have recovered, thankfully, back to pre-pandemic levels. Food service is still not back at pre-pandemic levels, and it has its own challenges. But the rest of the revenue in the business has grown, which has helped to mask that.
And of course, you are currently operating within a tough market condition as inflationary pressures and increasing global deficits in the supply of cocoa must be causing you some concern at least.
The cocoa market is definitely causing concern. It's now at an all-time record high, and indications are that it's not coming down. The only solace that we have in that regard is that all chocolate manufacturers will be facing a similar scenario. The challenge is that inflationary increases in the cost of food and consumer goods over the last couple of years have been incredible, and it's a tough market to be operating in.
And how seasonal is your business in Lily O'Brien's in terms of the importance of Christmas and Easter?
It's like all gifting business, Easter and Christmas are incredibly important, but we are focused as a business in trying to grow all year round as well as the seasonal element of it.
And from an innovative perspective, what have you been focusing on in recent years?
Innovation has all been mainly around sustainability. So how do we reduce plastic in our packs? This year we've got our first pouch range going out with over 94% reduction in plastic. So it's about bringing that sustainability into the brand, but bringing it in an authentic way.
And of course, Lily O'Brien's is popular within both the Irish and UK markets. But do you have plans to make this a global brand in the years ahead?
We do indeed. Our challenge now for the next couple of years is to maintain and grow our home market and the UK market, but to bring Lily O'Brien's internationally, hopefully across into Europe, and obviously as an Irish entity, the US is always something that we have on our mind too.
Focusing on Ireland and the UK, firstly, what is your plan in relation to increasing market share there?
It's driving rate of sale and it's engagement. I think at this stage, the world is full of influencers who can make or break a brand. Any brand who wants to have real sustainable growth needs to be engaging with their consumers on an ongoing basis about what the brand stands for and what those values are.
From the research that you've done with your own customers, what's important to them?
Quality. Having an authentic story is very important. I think there's an importance there too with being an Irish brand and being true to the values of being an Irish brand.
In terms of then growing the business beyond Ireland and the UK, what is the market development plan looking like?
I think tentatively taking steps into Europe later on this year. It is a challenging environment. Those markets tend to be well established and dominated by bigger players. We hope to bring Lily O'Brien's as an alternative option in the premium sector of those markets.
What will be a consideration for Lily O'Brien's when choosing distributors in those international markets?
Lily O'Brien's always operates with a partnership in mind, so we want long-term sustainable growth with partners that we trust and who act in the best interests of the brand.
So how will you stand out from the crowd?
It will be competitive because they're established and the price points are established. There may be a need for some R&D and some NPD so that we can have products that actually match those market profiles, and that's something that we'll be working on later on this year.
How do those price points for your competitors compare to the current pricing here in Ireland?
They're a lot cheaper across on the continent.
And what's the reason for that?
We're really trying to understand that, whether it's just that there's a supply-demand relationship. We're in early doors, Karl, in terms of really evaluating those markets. So I'd hope to have an answer to that, hope in about 6 months' time.
Will you be seeking support from Enterprise Ireland in relation to realising your international plans?
We will be working with Enterprise Ireland and indeed Board BA, who support the business on an ongoing basis in market research and support in entering those markets.
And will there be a requirement for Lily O'Brien's to have boots on the ground in those international markets in order to gain accelerated traction?
I would imagine at some stage in the future, yes, there will be a need to have boots on the ground. And I think the Board BA fellowship programme is something that works very well with starting in that regard.
Apart from that, what other growth areas will you be focusing on over the coming years?
We are focusing on online is always something that's a priority for us. But again, extending that online presence out into other markets to help support the brand growth in those markets. We have a project ongoing in terms of food service, getting out into other markets, whether it's catering or educational industry, leisure industry and beyond.
What's happening in the food service market that it's taking longer to recover than the other aspects of your business?
We're finding that it's actually very price sensitive, the food service market, because it's dominated by, well, our sector of the industry is dominated by airlines, and they have their own challenges in terms of cost and inflation. Price point and commerciality is the biggest challenge there.
Tell me on a personal level, Michelle, how would you describe your management style?
I'd be very team-orientated, Karl. I believe that there's nothing more effective than having people around the table to discuss the plan, get everybody on board, resolve any challenges so that everybody is on the same page.
Who are the women who have inspired you throughout your own career?
I think I have to go back to our own founder, Marianne O'Brien, who just, as a business leader and a person, knew no boundaries.
Where do you think that came from, the boundless approach that she took to developing and growing Lily O'Brien's over the years?
I think it was a mindset of positivity, that everything presented an opportunity and those opportunities were there to be developed.
Why don't we see more women hold senior management roles in large organisations in Ireland?
I think it's something that we're seeing more of, but I think sometimes women don't see it for themselves. And that's something that we need to be encouraging women to do, is to see those opportunities and see that they can be in those places. And that can be a difficult thing to do in a large organisation.
Anyone listening this morning that will be looking for inspiration in terms of how to get to the higher echelons of Irish business, what advice have you got for them, Michelle?
I think have confidence and belief in your own abilities. That very often is the one thing that women lack in that environment, is the confidence and belief. And that's something that people just need to reflect. And I think the way I would think of it is, when you're thinking about applying for a role, is why not me?
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Michelle Vance, the CEO of Lily O'Brien's, and I wish the team every continued success as they build a global chocolate brand.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.